So, hello everyone, welcome back. And today, this is going to be the second last uh, lecture on this series, you can say. And today, we would be discussing what is practical right action. Like, of course, we now know the actual right action to get rid of all your suffering. Of course, with time, is just to indulge in knowledge, right? So that is the right action. However, we haven't talked much about this money and stuff and all those. We have discussed, as you can see, the previous 19 videos and all. We have discussed each and every detail, each and every aspect very detailed manner. But let's say how much money you need, or why do you actually need to care about the body? Because of course, your if your health is not good, then of course how can you work? Like now, let's say if I am very I have many diseases, and let's say I cannot walk, then of course I won't be able to immerse myself, and of course I won't be free to do uh, I what I want to do. Basically, I am teaching you right now, so of course, which cannot do that if I am very ill, right? So that thing, and of course, what type of knowledge is to take? Like told you knowledge, but uh, what knowledge is it? Just all knowledge? I mean, do we just need that so-called physics, chemistry, maths, or maybe school level subjects? No, no, it's much more deeper than that, and of course. The need is very much to talk about each and every what can I say, detail or subset of knowledge. Hence this video. So this video is just dealing with practical right action. See, my work has been over. Now it's up to you whether I'm just showing you a one, you can say, kind of pathway. But my work was over in the 18th video. It's in the 18th video itself, right? So I told you that the main right action was to immerse in knowledge. So after that, my role is over, right? However, still, uh, there would be many things you have to figure out yourself, and this was one of the things you have to do for yourself. But still, considering your current state, maybe if you are too much, what can I say, too much away from the state of immersion, then you can use this video as a reference, right? So let's just start, right? So, when we are talking about knowledge, so of course, right action is just immersing into knowledge. Knowledge, I have divided it into two main categories, right? So, first is self knowledge. So, self knowledge is what? Knowledge of the self, like the one you are currently doing. Like, currently, of course, you are not taking world knowledge. World knowledge, I've also, explained in a lot of detail. I'll show you that here as I've written. But uh, of course, if we take in general, the self knowledge, why self knowledge required? Because for civil wars and growth. Now, of course, as I mentioned, that if you are immersed, some external stimuli comes, then of course you won't be able to quickly choose out of it. Like, of course, I am also not perfect. Let me give my example. I today, I also got, a bit deviated, and I was not able to choose. I did not choose the right action, and I did all kinds of wrong stuff. However, it's like what, 2:48 now, right? So I could have just, what I could have done was that to procrastinate for long enough and tell that, okay, I will start from 3 o'clock, or let's say I will start from 4 o'clock and all those. And of course, I could have done much better. But the thing is, uh, now if I didn't know that I had this choice, then of course I would be far off. I would not even do anything for the entire day, right? So now, still, of course, maybe the time is limited, but still at least something we can do, right? So that is the reason you need self knowledge, because self knowledge teaches you that at each and every point you have the choice to become a better version of yourself. Better version in the sense that, not in that, okay, earn money, earn fame and all those things, those stuff which are very prevalent in modern motivation and all. Not that, because modern motivation is just bullshit, right? Self knowledge in the sense that, okay, currently you are knowing about yourself, like what is the right action and all those stuff. Like, let's say you are studying any religious scriptures like Gita, or let's say you are studying Vedant and all those things, right? So they teach you the knowledge about the self. So uh, why they're important? Because of course, one thing is growth. That the more, that is, of course, knowledge you are taking, that means growth is automatically happening, right? And another thing is that in civil wars, as I mentioned, the war between the thoughts and your logics has to be strong enough to beat the thoughts. right? Or your logic has to be strong enough to convince the your restlessness to choose immersion over immersion over your, what can I say, dense, right? So that's why self knowledge is important. And I've also written that self knowledge is, 30 minutes minimum, 3 hour max. Why have I put a limit on it? Because of course, self knowledge minimum amount you need, and that is 30 minutes minimum. I suggest you 1.5 hours, right? So of course, my exams were going on for the past few weeks, so I for the past few weeks, so I could not do this. So again, that was a fault on my part. But this, you have to do it at all cost. Maybe I avoided it, but still it was the wrong action, right? So, and of course, make sure that it is restricted. Why restricted? Because then if it is like too much, then of course, first of all, you will feel, what can I say, more accustomed to it, and your ego will try to feed on it. And if you are not immersed enough, then of course the ego will be successful in feeding on it, and again you would be stuck in your entire messy loop of this constant hopelessness, desperation, restlessness, external factors, and all those, right? So that's why minimum 30 minutes is required. I suggest 1.5 hours. I also used to do 1.5 hours. The previous few weeks I could not, but uh, again, we I will do it from today itself, or rather tomorrow. But rather, what I want to tell you that, so maximum 3 hour you can put into the self knowledge per day. This is, I'm talking about per day, okay? And minimum 30 minutes you have to put. 1.5 hours is preferable, but now it's up to you, right? But mark my words, this self knowledge is much more important than your world knowledge. Of course, world knowledge is also important. You have to take world knowledge, but self knowledge is the top priority. And of course, many people might, uh, might not agree with me. They People, especially in India, they will say that study for JE and all those stuff, because we are again conditioned for that. But until and unless you know about yourself, it becomes really difficult, and you will again be a subject to your dens, right? So world knowledge, of course, again, so that your belief is broken and nothing is too fascinating, right? So let me give a very nice example of this. So what do I mean by this belief is broken, and why anything should be not too fascinating, right? mm, let's say that let's say you are there is a dent in you. Let's say you are a very scientific minded, and let's say there is a dent in you that, it might not be in many people, but let me take this example, that there's a dent in you that, let's say, space science, time travel and all those stuff, black holes. Because why the dent is, very deep? Because you have seen it in the movies, where of course they portray it, not in a much scientific way. You have not studied much about it, and hence you feel that, okay, time travel and, black holes and space is very, fascinating. Of course it is. I'm not lying, but you are not lying, but the thing is, you will feel too much attracted to it, right? It can A similar example can also be taken like this, that, mm, let's say, the body of a girl, right? So I know it might offend some girls, but really that is not my intention. My intention is to take an example, right? So let's say there are certain parts of the in, in a girl's body that appears more attractive to us. Why? Because they're hidden. Tell me, it, this is also a very common psychological, what can I say, observation, that the ego is eager to know more from what it is hidden from. So why exactly these all porn sites and all these things, for Bollywood especially, the main character, hero and the heroine, basically, they, forecast like their cleavage and all. Why? Because the ego is, not accustomed to see it, what can I say, is not accustomed to see it, in a very exposed manner, right? It always, in India, maximum what happens in conservative, households, is that the girls, they keep their body parts covered, and the boys, as you can see, as you can see, they wear saris and all, and they don't wear shorts, especially girls, if they're in a, a traditional conservative Indian family. But that is in most cases. But for them, what happens is that, let's say, similarly, a boy grows up in that kind of household, then the boy is not much exposed to the girl's body parts, and hence the boy is much more interested into seeing the hidden parts, especially, the chest region, and the pubic region. Of course, now some people might find this offensive, but this is really the truth, right? So why? Because the ego is more, what can I say, more focused, or you can say more determined to see what it is unknown, to see what it, what is hidden, right? So that's why, this, completely naked body is not very attractive as compared to, hidden, cleavages and all. Basically what the Bollywood shows, right? Why? Because again, the ego finds the hidden parts more interesting than the fully, naked part. Because in the fully naked part, what happens, you just see the opposing gender, and you just see that it's just the body part. And let's say you are studying more on it, like very much on it, then of course you won't be much attracted to it. Let's say you are a anatomist, right? So you research on people's bodies and all those. Tell me, of course some attraction might be there, but tell me, would you be that much affected if, someone stands in front of you naked? If uh, th- let's say there are two persons, some person who has never seen girls, naked, and another person who, like, basically works with, let's say he's an anatomist, or he's a doctor who, of course they have to, operations and all those stuff. So they have to deal with girls bodies and other and other such regions. So do you think the doctor who will be, very much affected, that, oh no, I saw a girl's body, that, oh, the doctor would not be affected to the same extent by a normal person would be? Because why? The doctor's ego is accustomed with it, right? So I know it might be a very uncomfortable example, but I had to go for it, especially in these current situations, regions. The youth is just obsessed with bodily characteristics, and these need to be broken. Why do you find the opposite gender so fascinating? Why? Because you haven't studied biology. If you have studied biology, then you would have realized that our this reproductive organs are just for, copulation. And why do we feel pleasure? We don't feel pleasure because, we are the pleasure. We feel pleasure because some hormones are released by the action of the brain and all those stuff, right? So that is, your beliefs need to be broken. And these kind of beliefs that, and for, let's say, for this proposal, like, okay, you give flower and I give you ring, you need to understand where this romance basically came from. Now of course there's some origin might be there. If you trace it back, I think it was in the Renaissance period, or industrial evolution. I exactly don't remember the date, but basically this, all traced back to the, Victorian times, I guess. Then that people started, giving flowers and, proposing with rings and all. So it was not beforehand. It was, I think more like it was showed in dramas and all, and that became a popular trend, and now it's just all over the place. So, and few beliefs which are spread by the big companies, as I mentioned in a very very one of the earlier videos, that there's a company called, I will not take the name, there's a chocolate company, and they say that, eat our chocolate, do nothing, right? So what they are basically trying to impose, that, okay, do nothing, this kind of philosophy they are trying to impose. So you need to understand where did this philosophy exactly come from. Because what their main aim is to, that do nothing and eat our chocolate. Basically they are trying to increase the restlessness in you. Why? Because they want money. They are also subject to their dens, right? So that's why, that is the entire reason. You need to know the entire history behind each and everything that happened, right? So then only you can, get free of this belief that, okay, a girl's body is very attractive, right? Marriage is very fascinating, right? So now, world knowledge I have, divided into two broad parts. One is the humanities and one is the science section. Now these humanities and science is not, as you, what can I say, as you, in especially in Indian schools, there is humanities, commerce and science. It is not like that. I've also, made more branches of it, as you can see. World knowledge is humanities. What do humanities include? It includes the sports, sports like, cricket and all those. Law means all, law basically, and studying law, and languages and literature, that visual arts and performing arts. So these are all the humanities, right? So humanities not in the sense that, okay, history, geography and all those. History, geography is here. It's a part of science. It's not like the traditional Indian system. I will also explain that it's not traditional Indian system, that, okay, the good people, they, take science, and, there's those who are, bit lesser, intelligent, they take humanities. That was the trend beforehand, but now it's now come to light to everyone that each and every branch is important, right? Each and every part of knowledge is important, and honestly, if I tell you, you need to take all of them. That's why I've written here. Like, why would I write here if it was not required at all? I would just write a few common ones and tell you that, yeah, fine. These are the few common ones, and do this. You need to know each and everything. Sports. How are sports played? How did it come to origin? Only knowing will also not do. You will have to play as well, right? But studying also you need to do, right? Only playing. If you don't know how to play cricket, then if you don't study, basically how this offside and all those rules works, then of course you cannot play. Then there is languages and literature. Basically, basically different what can I say, the Shakespeare, like, let's say, novels and all those things, they're again a part of humanities. Performing arts, what, music, dance, film, like theater, acting and all those, so that is performing arts. Basically you perform. Basically, I hope you get the idea that music, drama, and singing also you can add. Singing, these are performing arts. Visual arts are like fashion, fine arts. Fine arts in the sense like drawing. Fashion, though, of course, very big industry, right? Fine arts is like drawing. Drawings. If you go in an art museum and a gallery, that is fine arts, right? Sketches and all. Applied arts in the sense that VFX, animation, and all those, right? Of course, they also include very scientific background. But if I talking about general, that if I talking overview, then of course applied arts, like, basically you need to first understand that this pixel must go on and off, and then only that kind of an animation will occur. Basically VFX and animation, or whatever in videos and all those you see, it's just the applied arts, right? So that is the part of visual arts, right? So visual means that only visually appealing and all those. So that is the humanities section, which I've covered in. I've branched it, as you can see: sports, languages, literature, law, performing arts. You can say in arts in general. Like, so again, don't be some orthodox mindset people that, okay, arts means the traditional school system. No, it's humanities, and humanities include these kind of things. I know English is excluded from humanities thing, but it is not actually. English is not something separate. It falls under this category. Mark my words, this is not some course flow which I'm teaching you or giving you. It's just a list of knowledges or list of things available to you for studying. You need to study all this. What will you do by looking at this, right? You need to study all this. So I'm just letting you know, right? And in science also I've broken up because there are many branches of science. I've broken them up into four main categories. First is natural science. We see natural science in the sense it deals with the natural world, of course. Physics, of course, physics is just motion of things. Chemistry is again compounds and all. Biology, astronomy, the stars, and earth science. Earth science is again an branch of science. You might not be very much accustomed to it, but it's like more like, what can I say, the knowing about the earth's is I can say a branch of astronomy. It's not geography, right? Geography falls in the social science. Some people confuse this earth science with the geography. I don't have you know I don't have much idea about this earth science, so I cannot comment much on it, which of course is my fault. I will try to learn more about it, but these are in general are the natural science. Natural science in the natural world, whatever this physics, chemistry, biology, and astronomy. This is basically by observing the natural world, right? Formal maths is like, formal science, right? Formal science include computer science and maths. Now, you don't exactly need maths and science for to learn, because maths, basically, that way it is taught, just solving some equations. And computer science, you are just coding. But formal in the sense that, of course, it is very important to learn. But the way it is taught in our schools, or maximum of the schools, I won't say all, it's very really disappointing, honestly. But I'll come to this. I will come to the formal science part. It's very important to discuss this, especially in the current state. Very AI and all those things are coming, which is mostly based on this formal science. We'll come to it. So, social science, basically they include history, geography, psychology, sociology, linguistics, political science, economics. These are all social. Basically learning more about the society in general, like how did things happen exactly. History, and how does the rocks and all those forms. Geography, psychology, how does the human brain work. Sociology, linguistics, languages, and political science, economics, that how blockchain and all those things work, right? So that also you know, that also you need to know. Social science, applied science, applied science, like basically you apply all this whatever you have learned here in this, like it can be business, like architecture, engineering, medical, education, agriculture, journalism, public services. And believe me, these are all the kinds of knowledge you can get. All the kinds of, listen, these are not career paths, right? Sports, law, and these are not. I'm not telling these are career paths. You have to study all of them, right? This is not like you opt for a particular career and do only that. You have to study each and every one of these, at least each and every. There are many more which I have not even written down here. At least everything in this list, maybe not very very high level, but you need to have a very fair idea about each of them, right? And of course it won't be in a jiffy. I am also working on it. We all will work together for it, right? Because that's the thing, our entire life is going to be spent over these things, right? So applied science basically deals with the let's say physics, chemistry, biology. They are useful in architecture, engineering, medicine, and the business. Psychology is very important in business, economics again. Education, of course, for education, proper education, you need the knowledge of all of these. Agriculture, you need the knowledge of land, geography, and all those. Journalism again, you need this languages and literature part, and all those, basically applying all these branches which I've studied. And public services again, same thing. These are all again different types of knowledges you can take. And believe me, our entire India is just stuck in these three: engineering, medical, public services, J NEET and UPSC. That's all. In the entire India, the entire youth is just stuck on these things. Of course, I'm not telling that you don't have aim for business or education or agriculture. Of course, you can have, but I'm telling in general, the entire youth. Can you imagine? Like I don't know how many youth, like basically teenagers at their teenage, or basically the youth. They're just, literally, believe me, they are just these three: engineering, medical, and public services. Just only these three they are concerned with. So many branches available, not career paths, branches of knowledge available. They just do they just choose to reject it, right? So now I've made a kind of very not so good looking diagram, but I have written how can you, like basically how do each and everything is required, right? So psychology is required for the working of the brain, like how exactly the brain works. Neuroscience is this whatever model I explained, that our consciousness and our restlessness, the interrelation between two minds and dens, these all things, the neuroscience just works on them, right? So of course neuroscience is a part of biology, but the biology I've as I mentioned before and as well, I have taken the brain as a bit different part, because it has many, the main core of our existence lies inside that. That's why hence it is of course more very much important to know psychology, neuroscience, and biology. Why you need to know about the body, right? So uh, some people are black, so black is more appreciated than white. Why? Because it looks so called attractive, but at the end, if you just go into the body and the blood, you will see the organs and the functioning and all those are literally the same. Maybe some atoms, maybe some atoms which were reflected black light or darker light mode, they combined to form a human being who became black, right? So you need to know each and every this. Like otherwise, a very white person, let's say, you know, very they appear to be very charming and all. You will get attracted. You will easily get swept away by them. Why? Because you don't know that they are not different. Like the same person who call you attractive, they just also go to washroom. They do the same kind of stuff you do, right? Bathing and all. Cleaning themselves and going to washroom. And I'm purposefully taking that example so that you can realize that there is nothing special in them, right? So it's just all the same. And this is the external world. This is the external world, or you can say boundary, external world boundary. For here, physics, history, physics, history, chemistry, like basically how the world works, how it came, sociology, and all those things you need to understand. Philosophy, it can you can say it's again you can say another branch of knowledge, world knowledge. I couldn't mention it here, but you can consider it as another branch of knowledge, because philosophy, you can say that it is a founding pillar of life. So basically this is your entire life. Philosophy for entire existence, like your, what can I say, supporting your life, and physics history for knowing about the external world, biology for knowing about your own body, psychology, neuroscience to know about your own brain and how all these things happen, basically aware of this, right? So for all of them you need math. So all of them for you need math, in the sense you need math for logic. Logic in the sense, what I mean that like let's say I write down an equation, let's say some ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So if I write it down, then what is the significance? Because of course, let's say I give you a equation. If you have studied like x squared minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. Like, tell me, the roots of this are 2 and 3. So basically, what it means that if you substitute 2 in place of x in this equation, you will get 0. So what will you do? What will you do with this information, right? Of course, you don't need it. But the main aim of math was to basically develop how this thing actually came. Like the main aim of math was to make you a problem solver. Like if a problem is what can I say, a problem is there in front of you, then how can you exactly solve it? Basically, for that, for logic, for critical thinking, you need you need maths. Like previously, I hope you remember that all these cases and all these I made. Where did I get the knowledge from? Of course, from my mentor and also from maths itself. Like without maths, I would not be able to classify. Case one might be external stimuli is low. Case two might be external stimuli is high. Case three might be external stimuli very very high. I would not be able to classify if if not for math, right? So math is extremely important for critical thinking. So don't think that. I mean, just think the maths is everywhere. If you like, it's compulsory for at least up to class 10th in India. It's compulsory to study maths. I don't know about other countries, but honestly, maths should be made compulsory up to class 12. And honestly, all these subjects: physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, math, history, geography, and all this normal. Applied science can be later as you progressively learn, then you can what can I say, side by side learn applied science. But all these you need to learn up to at least class 12 level. Up to class 12, general class 12 level, you have to learn each and every of these in a very very deep manner. It's just not like okay, fine, fine, you will have to take a very deep overview. Might not be very many, especially not like very intensively, but a fair idea up to class 12 syllabus, right? In India I'm talking about. So how much is that? You can just go research on Google. I basically know I don't have much idea of all of them. For physics I can say a few, but of course that would be relevant here, right? But because we are not currently discussing anything about science, but I hope you get my point, right? So entire thing, if you were given this equation, then if your main aim was to find the 2 comma 3, the values which would actually give 0. But the problem here was not that okay, you find out the value of whatever formula taught by your teacher or whatever formula you read from the book. It's really about that how can you solve the problem, how can you literally approach it. Like how do we solve any general equation of this type? So the more you think or more you use your critical thinking, the more you get cognitive ability to think better about these things, right? So that's why this math and formal science is very very important. The education people, the education system of India, they have at least they have seen something in maths that is uh, in beneficial. Of course, they have not seen anything really. They think that the only aim is that okay, you study maths because maths is applied everywhere. You study it and earn money. That's their entire aim, but not to actually problem solve. But honestly, maths is not about earning money and all those stuff, being a good mathematician, but rather how to be a good problem solver. Like if a problem comes, how can I solve, right? So that is the entire aim of formal maths, right? Formal science, sorry. Again, CS, as you know, is just a subset of maths. It's just maths, more like what can I say, encoded into other forms for a computer to understand, for a device to understand. Basically, same thing, right? If you learn more about it, the more it would appear less fascinating. Like previously, I used to think neural, networking and all those things is very complex. Of course, they are complex, but the more you learn about this, capacitors and all those things, the what can I say, the complexity decreases, and hence the pool decreases. So that's why it's essential that you take each and every branch of knowledge at least up to class 12th level in India, right? Right. So I hope that is clear, and I hope your life, what generally I meant by the logic, math for logic. I hope that point is also clear. Now, Mm. Now coming to the main part, right? Like basically, how much should we care about your body? How much money you exactly need to earn? Like liabilities when we choose to live. So of course, when you live, as I mentioned, there are some liabilities like health, diet, money, laws and all. So I mentioned them in a much more, what can I say, detail. So the body is a physical object in which you are in, right? It has to perform many tasks and hence need food for energy. Let me just change the pen, right? And hence need food for energy. Hence all this taking care of body I have to do via money, and since I need to earn for my survival. Now, why you need to earn at all? This is the point. Don't earn because I want power, I want money, I want pleasures, because you realize that is just dense. But again, I have to earn money. Why? Because the thing I am doing, the right action which I have to do, it is I have been given this form of a physical body which I have to use to do this tasks. Like currently I'm using my mouth, my hands, and my expressions to teach you all this, right? So hence I have to take care of my body, and hence it need food. Why it need food? It's like similar to a car. I have taken this example later. Like a car needs fuel to run, so similarly a body needs food for energy. Food in the sense, healthy food, right? Not just junk food. Junk food does, eating the food that does not give you energy is just, what can I say, just useless. Again, you're just fulfilling your dance, right? So hence, this taking care of your body must be done, and you have to do it via money, because without money, of course, it's not possible that you buy healthy food and stuff. And hence, for your survival, why do you need to survive? Because you need to perform the right action, and you will not kill yourself, right? So hence, to earn money for your survival, sorry, hence to survive, you need to earn money. And also, I've written a side note here. Earn money which suffices, else you will become a subject to debt. So earn that much money as much required. Don't see. I'm not telling you that if you are getting 2+ lakhs per month. There are many jobs that gives like 30 lakhs per annum, 30+ lakhs per annum, especially the IITs and all. If you're getting that much kind of money, it's fine, but don't extra overuse it. Earn money which suffices, right? Else you will become, so if extra money is coming, I'm not telling you to just stop it. And especially if it is coming from knowledgeable source, like from where you can gain knowledge, then I'm not telling you to stop that source of income. I'm telling you to control it. Control it. Why? Because otherwise you will become a subject to dance. Just use the money which only suffice, because you don't need a, what can I say, Lamborghini for traveling. You don't need a Bugatti for traveling. You don't need a private island to live. You don't need a private pool. A private pool you might be needing because you need to play sport and all. But of course, you don't need a very very extravagant lifestyle. You can even live on rent, right? All you have to do is it to live, right? So, earn that much money which suffices. If it's coming more, then it's just fine. If it's especially from some knowledgeable source, then it's really very good, but don't just overuse it. So just learn that, right? So how much money you require? My mentor, he told you need around 60,000 plus per month. So I've written here 60K per month minimum, 60K minimum per month. And however, I will recommend you try to find a job which pays you 80,000 plus. Why? Because currently, the now as of 2026, the political situation of course is very unstable, and especially if any war breaks out, the inflation will rise, and very financial crisis might happen, right? So we cannot of course predict about the future, but as there everything is on the rise. Land prices, house prices, normal vegetables, everything is on the rise, and in no time they would be crossing boundaries, right? So that's why you need to. I think you do need to earn like 80K plus month. If you're getting more than that, then it's just fine. So how have I written this 80K plus month? I have summarized, like I have what I have even broken them down. So see, gym and essentials you have to do because you have to keep your body fit. So gym and essentials you have to, essentials like what, protein and whatever you take for muscle building, and keeping your body fit and healthy, all those bars and all whatever you need to buy, right? So let's say per month it's like 5,000. Of course the price it might vary. Like of course if you, let's say, can manage it much lesser amount, then that would be better, right? Electricity, network rent. Currently, if you're in a especially metropolitan city, the rent prices will be very very high. So if you want, you can try to move to a much cleaner area, right? So that of course that is will vary from person to person, that is up to you, right? So electricity, network and rent, for that you need to pay 25,000 rupees again per month I have taken up. So and of course now you need study materials, what like books, courses, this let's say laptop you want to learn from, or many devices, right? So clothes, food and all those, maids if you want to keep any, right? Traveling, and all those, you have to travel maybe to explore, or maybe to explore the world, why in the sense to learn more about it, I mean, basically gain knowledge about it, right? So for all those you need around 30K easily, right? Even the courses I take, especially for JE, then they are also very expensive. Like my physics course is worth 17,000. Forget about my entire, right? So the courses are very on the rise, and still my parents are providing, so very, that's a good thing, but still I am very much dependent on them, which is of course not a very good thing. So this all you need to earn by yourself, right? I will written it here. Do it yourself. Don't depend on. Currently, if you are very much bounded like me, then of course, why am I bounded? Again, I am choosing to be bounded, right? But however, what the good thing there is, we have J, and after J, the survival, the thing is taken care of, right? Especially in India, right? So uh, that's why. And of course, again, I have written here emergency or buying fund on emergency. Like you need to kindly buy something, or let's say you need some emergency. Let's say your uh, what can I say? Your body has suddenly become very ill. So of course there will be increased medicines and all those stuffs to be covered. So that's why you add them up. See what it's like 30 and this is around 20. So 80K you need to earn, right, per month. Mean per month, and 60K if you can, like let's say 3,000, and if you somehow can manage some few thousand rupees here and there, 1,000 rupees here and there, then of course again you can do for 60,000. That's also no issue. uh, and also make money, this is a very important point. Make money from sources which can give you knowledge as well, like knowledge. So earn money, as I mentioned, that earn money, like currently I'm teaching, so if I'm earning money from that, then that is the right action, right job, you can say, kind of right job. Like let's say if you are sweeper, no hate to the sweepers, if you really have nothing else to do, the only source of money coming from to you is just sweeper, then of course you it's which I'm very sorry for the condition, but educate yourself so that you can get better job and work with those people, like those places where you can gain knowledge, and especially don't work in those places which forecast violence and conditioning, especially very films where they especially the Bollywood industry. I don't appreciate it much because they just try to increase the people's dent, like they show cleavages and all, and then money and all those fame and all those, the maximum of the movies, and especially lust again very big factor, right? So they just try to show all of this to increase the dents and violence. Conditioning in the sense that, okay, white, same example, that white people are good, so basically there's a company was Fair and Lovely. So this fair people thinks they will integrate with you, that you need to be fair, you need to be very good looking, otherwise you won't survive, and all these things. Basically they try to condition the people, right, in those type of companies, right, by showing ads or whatever, or violence, as you know, especially in films. So different from that places, uh, which are, what can I say, are basically just pulling you away from immersion, because the ocean loves, right? If you are truly want to immerse, then you would not hate on anyone. But actually, what are you doing when you are allowing the thing to happen? Basically, you are working in some place which increases conditioning. Then what you are doing is just the wrong action. Hence, it would be much more very advisable that do not work with these people. However, nothing else, you can make it out. Then, of course, begin, some kind of company which like a sweeper and all. But of course, then make your money and indulge in knowledge as fast as possible, right? There is another point I wanted to mention, and one other doubt that people have is that money to relationship, right? So like should I already I have to earn 80K plus month, which is of course a bit not of course insignificant amount, but do I need to give extra to my parents or others, or maybe loan, let's say I take a loan, then of course if you take a loan, then of course you need to pay it. But let's say, do I really need to give my earnings to my parents or my friends if they ask? Of course I'm not being able to earn as much, as of now. But do I need to give it money to my parents? Now realize that here, realize that where this money giving thought is coming from. Do you really want to help the other person, or rather you do want to help the other person because there is some attachment to them? So what is the reason? Just think that what is the reason. Let's say you don't give money to a roadside beggar, but you are ready to send your mother, some five few thousand rupees, right? Why you are not, not, what can I say? No, why are you not helping your mother to do some stacks, but rather you are after some girl trying to give her a rose, right? So just understand where is this conditioning coming from. That's just an attachment, right? So if this thing, money into relationship, if you think that okay, if I can give money, that would truly help, that would make a person independent, and towards freedom, towards immersion, towards fixing, then of course you can give money. But realize that it should not come from the relation, right? That okay, you are my father, you are my mother, that's why I need to give you money. Not like that, right? In India it's compulsory for people, I mean adults, to look after their children up to 18 years of age, and you are, believe me, you are not entitled to this uh, give them some money. Why? Because they did not ask you before bringing. So Supreme Court gave this kind of statement that parents did not ask their child before bringing, hence they need to take care of them at least up to 18 years, right? So it was your parents wish, that yeah, I wanted pleasure, and I brought this kid up to, in earth, and now I have to take care of him. So that's the parents responsibility, right? So that you cannot do anything. Your parents has to do. And listen, you are not entitled to your parents, because parents might not be deserving in the sense, who knows if the parents is just, just pulling you away from immersion. Who knows if they're wrong? Because of course we know that parents, they try to make us the best at, try to do the best for us. Why do they want the best for us? Because they think that it is their property, we are their son. Like, let's say your mother loves you, and your mother, lets you stay at home and all those. But maximum of the people, some people do exist, but maximum of the people, they will not allow, an orphan boy, or a street boy to stay in their home. Few people are there, they will allow, because they're very compassionate, right? But maximum of them, especially in Indian households, they will not allow any random kid to stay in their home and take care, and they will not take care of them, especially as their child, right? So that is the reason, right? So just realize again, the love of your parents are coming from where? The attachment, right? The sense of ego, that okay, he or she is my child, mine, that thing, right? And also, another issue I want to address, that some people had this, yeah, that I also have this, that if I, just, if I don't, if I just be independent, if I leave my parents home and all those, then I will just end up on the streets. And currently, believe me, if you are currently watching in this video and you have been understanding up to here now, you really don't need to worry about it. You can easily, I can say, I will tell you, if not 80,000, you can easily earn 60,000 per month, if you were able to understand up to this time. You just need to basically gain knowledge. You need to know about finances, the stock market and shares and economics, how those things work. You need to identify your skill. Basically, if you can teach well, then you can do that kind of thing. If you just need to throw some hands and legs there, and just need to find out thing where you can basically ensure your survival. People think that if we leave home and if we don't get money, we will directly come on streets begging. No, that's not what happens. Like, people, they survive, working at tea stalls, right? There are numerous stories of Ruskin Bond you can read. Of course, might be the prices at that time might be less, but of course, uh, money, they also, tea stalls also pay, if not, I mean, survival kind of money. You can work at a tea stall, and if you live alone, then that's it. Like, if you don't have any family and all, people, those who work in tea stalls, they have, entire kids and their wife to take care of. If, of course, if you work, then of course you can work for at least your own survival, right? So that's no issues. You will. And people, let's say they work at malls, of course that's not a very good job, because again there's a conditioning, and again, no knowledge. But still, if anything you cannot find, you can at least survive, right? So that's the first point, right? Survival, you can, it will not happen that you will directly come on to streets. You will do something, just believe you, and just give some, throw and hand some hands and legs there and find out. And of course, do it yourself. Don't be dependent on your parents that okay, my parents will leave me this kind of money, then I will do this and all those. My parents will leave me this property and I will stay here, and just forget about it. Don't be dependent on someone. Or also, one another point, don't let anyone else depend on you, because if you are letting someone else depend on you, what you are ultimately trying to do is you are again bonding that person by the means of ego, right? So listen to it. So just do it yourself. Be independent and make others independent as well. Let's say if your mother is a housewife, uh, urge her to earn for herself, to make herself independent, not just rely on her father's income. However, in my case, my mother and father are working. But if your housewife, if your mother is a housewife, urge her to income, or don't just feed on your father's income. Why? Because you need to do it for yourself. You need to be independent. You need to get out of these restrictions, right? So I hope you get my point. The second thing, as I mentioned, health, exercise. Exercise, of course. Again, a few people go to gym, as I mentioned, to go, flex muscles, to attract and impress girls. Of course, not. We exercise not for looks or impression that okay, I want to impress someone. I need to look very good, but to keep yourself physically active and fit. Like, of course, if I am not very active, if I am not able to run and all, how can I? If I am not able to walk, even how can I express my information freely, right? So health is a very very important part. People do this as in sense of ego that okay, I need to impress my girls, I need to prove them wrong, and all those revenge kind of thing they do, glow up and all those stuff. No, basically you are exercising. Why? To keep yourself physically active and fit, not to know you are not achieving something else, right? You are not doing it for achieving something. You are doing it for the sake of survival itself. Diet, again, diet is what eat what will suit your body, or improve it, and not harm it. Like people eat chips and cold drinks all the time. I've left cold drinks for a long long time, believe me, because of course again they're just useless for our body. Because diet, it's not because that okay, you become cool by ignoring cold drinks. No, basically if you leave, let's say, any cold drinks or any chips and all those junk food, maximum of them, they harm the body and they reduce your physical ability. They what can I say, they make you fat. And if you are fat, then you are, of course, you will be inactive, right? And hence you need to do dieting. You need to eat good fruit, like fruits and vegetables. If you just need to go over to Google and research what are suitable for your body for growth and all those, to keep yourself physically active, right? And of course you don't incur any disease, and if you incur any disease, you recover from it faster, right? Another, this is a very important, these are now tips which I've written here. So number one tip is play at least one sport with vigor. Take breaks when required by ego. Sorry, when required not by ego but by ocean. Break is also part of. So okay, first thing, that play at least one sport. So this is really really important, because especially currently now we are all on phones, devices every day long. Currently, our exam was finished, so I will also urge my friends to go out and play a sport with me. Previously, I also not did not play much sport, because I thought studying was everything. But again, beliefs have to be broken by knowledge, right? So play at least any one sport. It might be cricket, it might be football, it might be hockey, whatever thing is prevalent in your region, or let's say in Japan, cricket of course is not much popular there. Uh, but here cricket is very very much popular. So hence we can play cricket, we can play football, and all this. Play at least any one sport. You can play, of course. The more number of sports you play, the better. You need to, if you can master many sport techniques and many sports, then of course that is the best thing. However, at least one sport you should have, maybe if not every day, at least 3 4 days a week you should at least play, right? And take breaks when required. Let's say you are continuously immersed in your action. Like after this, I will take break. How will I take break? Not by scrolling, right? Either you can take break by, let's say, some what can I say, some getting some self knowledge. Like let's say I listen to some Acharya Prashant's advice or videos after after I complete this, or maybe I will listen to some Gita lessons and all. Break in the sense, why is break required? Because the brain gets exhausted. Like the brain gets exhausted in the sense, the brain gets actually exhausted, not by the ego. Like whenever I hope you have observed this, that whenever, let's say, you sit to study, your ego just forces you to go into a state of fatigue, that yeah, it's fine. But the very next moment, you are typing something, you are texting with someone, you are scrolling shorts, or you are playing games, you are very very much active, right? So when the ocean needs, take the break, not when the ego asks you that okay, uh, just take break, especially if I work, like currently before this video my ego was telling me why work, just keep on scrolling, right? So but I fell a victim to it for a few hours, but again I chose. Then again I told that no, no, I have to fix myself and I need to do this stuff again. That I was, procrastinating, like I was getting lethargic. But again I woke up. I woke up in the sense that I splashed water on my face and I started this recording this video, right? So again now that rest, feeling of rest was coming from the ego, that okay, rest now, and all those. But as you part, but now as I'm in deeply in the ocean, I'm very much exhausted as I'm speaking vigorously. I need to take some water right now, right after this video ends, because my throat is getting drier because I'm speaking with so much intensity. So that is the thing. You take a nap, that okay, I'm very much tired, but don't take nap because I am telling you. Take nap only when you are feel tired, or let's say your work has been done, right? So don't do scroll, or let's say just call your friends or girlfriends and all, tell all those things, right? So don't go into that again, that's just activation of dance, right? So the next point I've written: be comfortable around people of all sexualities, animals, insects, etc. Yeah, this is a very important point. People, especially of they're uncomfortable with opposite genders. Like they're uncomfortable around girls, because why? Because their ego is not much exposed to girls, and hence they find girls very curious, right? I hope you have seen in a married relationship. Let's say there's a marriage, and they have been attracted. They have been married for 10, or let's say 20 something years. Then of course, do you think the so-called lovely feeling which was there, let's say 20 years before marriage, oh marry me and all those things, still happen after 20 years? No, they don't. Why? Because you become accustomed to them. uh, Honestly, you take them for granted, right? But that's another big topic of marriage and all, but we'll come to that later. Currently it's not an object of our discussion, right? So hence be comfortable with people around all sexualities. I'm telling this to all girls and boys both. Girls, some especially happens that very recent example I encountered, that in my tuition, some some parent of some girl came, and she asked, and he asked that her father came, and he asked that is there any girls only batch, right? So why? Because his father is insecure that might be some boys, of course, now of course the kind of things that boys do this kind of days, they really really terrible, especially to satisfy their ego. But comfortable in the sense, not that flirt and all those things. Comfortable in the sense, you can freely talk. Now I am asking you to be comfortable. That does not mean that you take this opportunity and tell, okay, I will I will get comfortable with my crush, I will flirt with her. No, 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 not exactly. That is not what I meant, right? What I mean is that you can freely talk. It's not like you are very much confined to yourself only, or or some friend circle. If someone comes to and talks to you about some issue, you can freely talk with that person without getting much disturbed, or much affected due to external stimuli. Okay, so that is very important. Animals, insect, few people, especially I also, I have a bit, I had a bit of phobia around animals, uh, right? But you need to accustom yourself, right? I am also not perfect. I'm not telling that whatever I am telling you, I follow each and every. I try to follow. I feel like I get up, I can try. That's the main thing, right? So as I mentioned, you fail, try, and again. That's the whole point of making yourself better, right? So have general knowledge. General knowledge in the sense, whatever is going on in politics, of course you don't need to indulge too much in it, because then again it will just become another dent, right? So maybe currently you need to know that okay, Iran and all those things are at war, and general knowledge in India, maybe. But especially now the news is just too much corrupted, believe me. So like general knowledge in the sense, you need a bit of this history, geography again. How did these kind of things happen and all those? That's again a part of general knowledge. Common sense, basically, you can kind of say. So you need to have all those politics and wars, religion. Like of course you need to survive. Now let's say you looked up some advertisement and you went to Dubai, and there you found out that now there is war going on, and anytime missile may drop. So of course you need to take care of that as well. Laws of country, like in India, Aadhaar, tax, traffic, etc. So in India, basically, we have all this identification and all those passport, and we have to pay tax, and we have to obey traffic signals and all. So again, this also you have to obey, because these are societal laws. You just cannot go against it. Like if you go against any of them, like okay, you will tell no, I will not make Aadhaar, I will not pay tax, I will not obey traffic, then of course you will be captured, like you will be taken imprisoned, right? You will be imprisoned. And then if you're in prison, then of course you cannot immerse yourself in knowledge. So what you need to do, you need to play intelligently, right? So maybe if someone asks you to attend, like let's say a very similar example I am telling you, I told my mother that I will go to play with my friends because I need to immerse myself, and of course I didn't tell her all these things so much, but I told her that I would have to go to my I would go with my friends. And then she said that I also have to go with her for some activity of eating, and from basically I have to go to a relative's house and greet all people and all those. Now if I told her that no, I will not go with you, I will not meet any relatives and all this, because again they are just then, because that's useless, right? She was asking me to go with some of her friends, and to a restaurant for eating and all those. Of course I'm not much interested in it, but of course now I have to play intelligently. Like if I tell her that no, I will not go, then she will not allow me to play also. But if I don't play, then how will I able to immerse myself, right? So you need to play intelligently at each and every of them. Like you need to pay tax, you need to pay traffic, but don't get affected by all these worldly stimuli. Things of course might happen, just play intelligently, that's the main thing. The last thing which I would like to tell for today's video, of course next we have much more to discuss, is that learn independent skills, right? So cooking, driving, etc. Keep made better but be independent, right? So see, you need to learn all these skills like cooking, driving, and let's say washing and all those, because uh, might be let's say you keep a maid, because that's the best option. Because then you don't have to spend much time, in doing all these trivial tasks. Of course, you are trying to immerse in knowledge and all those things. And of course, if someone tells you to wash clothes, where of course there is no knowledge involved, then it would be very much difficult. Of course you can still do it, but it would be difficult. Now if you keep a maid, then that would be better, because you pay her and she can do things for you. But let's say your maid is absent, or let's say you are not able to afford a maid, then also you should at least learn, you should know how to cook or how to drive and how to wash and all those things. Or coding and all those things. Let's say currently, let's say you want to become a YouTuber and all those things. So basically, what you can do, you can what I am doing currently is I don't have money right now to hire team and all those things to advertise. So what I'm doing, I'm making thumbnails on my own, these videos and all this editing. I have to cut out the very background noise, I have to do it on my own, because again that's just I have to do. Right? If I had some editor and all, they would do it for myself, for me, right? Uh, Hence, I'm doing it independently. Later, when I will have enough money, I will hire people, right? So do that. So of course, keep people but be independent. So card example, this is a very example which I told you earlier. So in all these things which I mentioned earlier, treat your body and treat yourself as a card. Let's say the main aim is the destination, that is the immersion. But don't think too much about the destination, not think too much about the card itself. Just keep going, right? Just feed it at such a state that keep the car in such a state that it can travel. Now you buy a very big luxurious car and you tell that okay, this is very luxurious, I will not use it because otherwise it will get dirty. Arey bhai, you took the car to travel and you are not doing that, then what is the reason, right? So what is the reason of the whole point of buying the car? So I hope that is clear, the car example. And I have also written a short note here. In immersion, you will be working vigorously. If in other state, observe and map yourself, and if insignificant, okay. So let me just explain what I have mentioned here. A bit of grammar is error, but anyways, what I mentioned here, like in immersion you will be either working vigorously. However, of course, as I mentioned the very previous video, in the concept of mapping, you just observe yourself, that where are you currently. I am in immersion state, so it's fine. Like now previously what I was in, I was what can I say, I was away from the ocean. I was much away from the ocean, so I choose a higher den to record this video, and after this I will go playing. Then I again chose the higher den, and now I that continuity came, and I am immersed now. So I would be more doing more immersive activities, the right action now, right? Or if you are already in immersion, then just this is the same thing, just the same thing as mapping, as I mentioned the previous video. So that just map yourself and choose the same thing. So that's it for today's video. I think again the time limit is again restricting us, but I hope you found it useful. Do tell me what do you think about this, and we have a lot. That is, next video will be the last video. We will be finally, concluding all the points, and ending this series, and of course start the next step for this channel. So bye for now. Goodbye.